discussions and debates for over a year here on this draft site plan. And there certainly are differing, opinions. And, somebody's opinion differs from yours. I mean, we gotta respect each other around here and just respect each other, okay? Now, if you wanna speak during the meeting, you're asked to sign up, okay? And you will be called on to speak. So if anybody wants to speak, now's your chance.
I have a question. I mean, is that even legal?
Yes, it's legal.
You have to come to a public meeting and sign up to speak?
Yes. Would you?
Yes, so under the open meetings law, the board can establish rules for public comment periods. If you decline to sign up, one of the rules is you can be disallowed from speaking. They can't, a municipal body can't prevent you from attending the meeting, but they can put reasonable rules in place to govern public participation periods.
I mean, this is a public hearing though. This isn't a meeting. This is a public hearing.
I mean, it is a municipal meeting. The purpose is to solicit public comments on whatever for this topic. But because there is a lot of turnout, reasonable rules can be put in place to ensure that the comments stay on topic. Sometimes rules are put in place limiting participation or speaking to a time limit, and a sign-up sheet helps ensure that that's done in an orderly fashion. But
Okay, so is that a board decision or a chairman decision?
it's a decision of the board.
Okay, so I don't think and then is this put on by the plan commission or by the board?
I thought it was the planning commission, so I was kinda surprised that
It's the board, because we put it on. Okay.
it's not on the comprehensive plan one, but go ahead.
So we have to motion then? So I'm making a motion to have a sign-up sheet, and we will call on the individuals to speak their thoughts for 3 minutes. And we will time them up here and we will let them know to prevent any arguing back and forth like we've been arguing for the last year. That is all it is for. It is not to silence anybody. It is to keep things orderly.
As a planning commission member, do I need to sign in?
Sure.
That is up to the board. If you're requiring board members to sign in, that is up to the discretion of the board.
Yep. I second the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed say nay.
Nay.
Okay, motion passed.
So are we gonna answer the question about the board members? Do we get to speak or does anybody get, do we have to sign up, I guess is the question.
I would say no.
So who's running this?
The board is. Okay.
Okay. The least informed group, okay.
Yep.
So why are we here then?
Well,
Why
Bob,
don't you just
you're
run
part
it?
of the
Why don't you have a
planning.
vote too?
Well, Bob, just a minute, we'll get there. Okay, there.
Well, then, I mean, I guess I wanna sign, cause I'm a board member, I think I should be able to
Yep.
speak if I
Can
want
speak.
to. Is there anybody else that needs to sign?
Want to sign it, man, just in case?
Am I allowed to speak about the planning commission and introduce the members and all that, or what are we gonna do?
We'll just wait, Bob, we'll get there. Okay, so if you want to speak during the meeting, you are asked to sign up. So does anybody else want to sign up? We get everybody? Okay. You will be called on to speak. We've allowed up to 3 minutes. Okay? And then there will be no interruptions, comments or debate during the meeting. I mean, there's been too many arguments, we just wanna hear what people have to say. This meeting is for the board. It's for the three of us to be able to hear different comments from the public, okay? Now, this meeting should last approximately an hour, because there's 17 people signed up, and we'll figure 3 minutes each, so,
No.
okay?
Are people allowed to ask questions or not?
Sure. You bet.
Do you have to be on the sign-up sheet to ask a question?
Yeah, in order to speak, you gotta be on here. So, do you wanna speak? Do you want to? Okay, if you wanna speak, just sign up.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, you bet. We'll start with the, first person, Brad Bartles.
Don't you introduce what this is all about first, Dave?
Well, yes, it's a site plan. We already said that in, the announcements. It's a site plan meeting for the draft site.
You know, you get paid for your meetings, we gotta do this volunteer, I think out of respect, we should.
Okay,
This is the way he runs a meeting.
it's good, yeah.
Yeah.
Now, Bob Lorkowski, Dave Wurzba, and let's see, John, you're on the committee? Annie, you're on the committee? Is there anyone else?
Amanda Pop.
And Amanda Pop. Those are the, Poppy, those are the 5 people on the committee. They spent a lot of,
Commission, actually.
okay, planning commission. They spent a lot of time developing the various draft plans. So we're here just to hear the public comments, and that's what we're here for. Okay.
Do you think you should maybe review the plan? Because probably not everybody here has read it or understood it or anything. Are you gonna go through it at all, Dave, or not?
I don't plan on it because it's been out on the website for several months. And it's been out there.
How many of you out here have reviewed the plan? Raise your hands. How many of you read the plan? Okay,
It was sent to every person's
and
house.
that's,
Yes.
that's like a bolt nailing.
Yeah.
How many people read it?
Okay.
Okay, now, if you have questions, your hand's still up, or is it down? The people who've read it, you still have a question, okay?
And then, when
They can
people are
ask
gonna
questions.
speak, will they be required to state their name and address of if they're a resident or not?
Yes, residents, if you own property in the township of Stubbs, you take precedence in speaking. Anyone outside of that will not take, if we have time, they can certainly
There's a
speak.
difference between owning property and being a resident. They need to state whether
Yep.
they're a resident or not.
Well, I'm asking for anybody who owns property in the town of Stubbs, because the site plan affects anybody who owns property.
It does, but they should state whether they're a resident or not.
Now, that's up to them. Okay, you ready to start, John? You're the first one, or Brad, I mean.
All right. Good evening, neighbors and township officials. Today I stand before you not just as a property owner and a resident, but as someone who has lived in this county my entire life. Like many of you, I've watched as our community has consistently ranked among the poorest in Wisconsin, with limited economic opportunities and development prospects. When a solar company approached us about utilizing a portion of our private property, we saw it as a rare chance to create value, not just for our family, but potentially for our entire community. Our rural community faces 2 significant challenges that we must address. First, we lack the economic development opportunities that more populous areas take for granted. Industries and housing developers aren't lining up at our borders of this township. Second, we're witnessing an erosion of the property rights and principles that rural communities have traditionally held sacred. The notion that neighbors should have veto power over reasonable legal uses of private property threatens not just my family's economic security, but everyone's ability to steward their land responsibly. When did we start believing that private property decisions require community permission? The solution lies in balancing community input with respect for private property rights, reasonable regulations that protect genuine community interests where appropriate, but without overreach. Projects like the solar installation we consider represent exactly that kind of opportunity our community needs. Clean development that generates revenue without straining infrastructure or changing our rural character. These opportunities allow longtime residents like us to reinvest in the community through business development and housing, precisely what we had intended to do. Imagine our township 5 years from now if we embrace a balanced approach to development. Properties thoughtfully generating revenue through projects like solar, with those funds circulating through our local economy. New housing options making it possible for young families to stay. Local businesses expanding because property owners have capital to invest. Contrast this with the alternative. Continued economic stagnation, young people leaving, and an atmosphere where neighbors view each other as or with suspicion rather than support. Unfortunately, I've already experienced this alternative reality. As this proposed project, which is won't proceed due to delays at the state level, has cost us not just economic opportunity, but treasured friendships due to rushed judgments and misunderstandings. I urge this township to take 3 specific actions. First, revisit any ordinances that unnecessarily restrict reasonable property use, ensuring they truly protect community interests rather than simply opposing neighbors' preferences. Second, establish a transparent, efficient process for considering development proposals that respects both property rights and legitimate community concerns. Finally, I ask each of you as community members to commit to seeking understanding before judgment when neighbors propose new uses of their property. Before opposing something, take time to learn the facts and consider the potential benefits alongside any concerns. While our specific solar opportunity has unfortunately passed due to delays beyond our control, the underlying issues still remain. How we handle property rights and development opportunities will determine whether our community thrives or continues to struggle economically. I remain committed to this township and to finding ways to contribute to its prosperity, as I know many of you are. But this requires us to balance respect for private property with community input and to approach each other with understanding rather than assumption. Thank you for your time and consideration tonight.
Thank you, Brad. John, Tomcat?
John Bouncic, lifelong resident, John Stubbs. When the town set up our first initial comp plan, we set it up to be very vague, so not to regulate on taxpayers' land. This new ordinance, in my opinion, is full of regulations, such as application processes, says town board and planning commission shall approve or deny. Also, it says no land shall be developed which is held unsuitable by the town board and the planning commission. We all know town boards change along with personalities, and future of the town and residents should come first. I'd like to note a few items from the proposed site plan ordinance that concern me. Landowner rights are being infringed upon by regulating their personal property. The application process could financially hinder the project before it is even approved. With certified survey reports, engineer reports, 3D rendering, and potential environmental impact studies, to name a few. The landowner must provide a form of financial security through an escrow or a bond for the cost of removal, not to exceed 120% of the removal cost. This ordinance leaves room for interpretation and a lot of gray area. The public was allowed to submit questions to the town lawyer, but those questions were not answered because the price, as it would have costed another $8,000 to $10,000 to answer these questions. I believe in freedom and to not put more regulations and ordinances upon ourselves. This ordinance would regulate every taxpayer in the town and will affect everyone now or 10 years from now. We can stop this loss of freedom by telling the board now, no new ordinance.
Thank you, John. Ron S., whoever Ron S. is.
Well, that'd be me. I'll be quiet at the time.
Okay,
Just listen.
okay. Pam Bristol.
I'd like to wait and see and reserve my time for later if we
Your
can.
time is right now.
We'd like to hear more before we speak.
Your time is right now. We're going down in order.
See, that's not,
It's his rules.
Okay.
It's only his rules.
Okay,
It's
I-
always his rules.
okay.
So either you can speak right now.
I'm not gonna speak right now.
Okay.
Am I next?
Shirley Rollo, or Rala, or whatever, I'd say it. Okay.
Shirley Rulo.
Okay, thank
I
you.
can speak loud enough. I guess I wanna know how this all began from the very start with the dump. If one of the members on the committee can explain that to everybody?
Go ahead, Bob, or Dave, either one of you two.
You
That's
mean
my
as far as,
question.
you mean as far as Shirley, as far as when the landfill first came in?
Why we did it and why this is proposed now?
Sure. I'll start out, Bob, and you can jump in, or you gonna start out?
This is part of the
We
3
need,
minutes.
pardon?
Part of the 3 minutes.
No.
You may have
I
over
only
3
had
minutes.
15 seconds, so they can use my 45.
Yes, you can use my minutes.
We give you,
You have
The
my
comprehensive
minutes.
plan was brought in, and I will say, I was asked by Art Dixon, I believe, to chair it, cause no one would touch it, cause it was a big government deal at the time. And we had probably 250 people in our meetings sometimes, okay? Cause nobody wanted regulations. The idea was to get a basic plan in. We had to have a comprehensive plan in to negotiate with the landfill, okay? The final meeting, after we had tweaked and torn and downsized that comprehensive plan, okay? When we had that final meeting to adopt it, I read word for word the entire plan. With that, probably 75, 80 people left, because they were just here to piss and moan, weren't even probably residents, okay? At the end of reading that, I said to Trevor, I believe, from the landfill, I said, if we do not adopt this plan for the township of Stubbs, who do you negotiate with? He said, with the county. I said, what if the county does not have a comprehensive plan? He says, we will go to the state. So had we not had that comp plan, had we not persevered to get some rules in, okay, all that money you hear in our treasurer's report that comes from the landfill would be going to the county or the state, okay? So as the last person, or second to the last, first person spoke, you know, the economic condition of our county is, yeah, we're second or worst, poorest county in the state, but we're probably the richest township in that poorest county. I don't know the numbers for sure, but I think we're close. So now this plan is a suggestion from the comp plan. It's not required, but it's the next step. And I will read something else, because this was also submitted to our zoning, our county zoning. And that's very important to get their input, so we can dovetail with the plans. But this is one thing that Yvonne sent, and I was gonna read this at the beginning if I was running the meeting. And it says, "I note the purpose of the site plan is to preserve and protect the rural and agricultural character of the town. Is this purpose statement something the commission supports unanimously? It is important that the group agrees on why you are creating the ordinance and the vision for the town future development and character." So I guess I will ask for a show of the hands and read that again. Is the purpose of this statement to protect and preserve the rural and agricultural character of the town? Is that what we want?
Recreational too.
It states,
Came right from the comp plan.
Don't care
Yep.
about that.
I'm saying probably have recreational.
okay, we can make a note.
That was from Yvonne.
Yeah, this is
Yeah,
from
From the
Yvonne.
zoning
That's what I'm
person.
saying.
This is from Yvonne, it was off the fourth draft, and that was the question she asked. But I asked that question, if that's what we want, or do we want major manufacturers in here? Do we want major manufacturers in here? Do we want mining in here? I don't know.
I might also add that the first thing that Yvonne stated in here was, "I read through the proposed site plan ordinance. I commend your township for planning ahead and developing standards to be followed." To kind of dovetail on what Bob said, the site plan ordinance was a recommendation when the comp plan was updated. And the reason for that is that, Dave, you should be able to relate to this. You did business plans, you did financial plans. A comp plan is just that, it's a plan. The site plan ordinance gives you the tools to ensure that that plan that you meet that plan. So it gives you some objective review. Brad, you talked about, development. Without an objective way to review a proposed plan, you've got 5 people or 10 people, making a decision based on their gut feel or whether they like the person or whatever. This gives you an objective way to review a development, ensure that more people have their views seen. And so that's why they have that. It gives you a way to be more consistent and be objective.
Dave, let's keep the opinions out, let's just stick to the.
That wasn't an opinion. I can
Let's
read
stick
that
to-
right from
No,
the.
you read Yvonne, so just stick to the facts.
I have a question, since he addressed me directly there, can I respond to it real quickly about his objectivity of the commission?
No, I'd just as soon hold off on that.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Did that answer your question, Shirley?
Finished?
So rejecting a project just because of what it looks like is objectivity.
Okay, all right. John, I think it's Ridge or,
Richter,
yeah, Richter, John Richter?
it's more of a question. I'm John Richter of South Shore, and I am a resident. The plan, I guess I had questions as far as, there's so many unforeseen things that could happen, and I think it would protect us. And I'll give you one example that could possibly happen. Largest dairy farm in Wisconsin is 9,000 head. If a farm like that was to go into our area, it would drink the equivalent of water of Lake Anacoy in 7.5 years. And I don't know what that would do for the watershed, to my personal well, anything like that. But does this help protect us from something that we can't foresee like that?
It would have to come before as a review.
Jim Zach, you're next. Okay.
I'm Jim Zach. I live in the.
Can't answer the question. But you can answer it. Jim, you're next.
Do I get my 3 minutes?
You can go ahead.
Sorry,
Jim.
John, we weren't able to answer your
They
question.
start right
We weren't
now.
allowed to.
They start when you start. Your wife signed you up, so.
Oh, yeah, I noticed
Okay,
that.
Okay.
I'm Jim Zach. I live off of Step Check Lane. It used to be N3074 Step Check Lane, 911 changed it, now I'm W12330 Step Check Lane, and nobody can ever find me. I guess that when the plan originally was presented and I looked at it, I was in opposition to it. I felt that it was highly restrictive and the costs were mind-boggling, and I didn't know how to address it. And so I came to one of the meetings and I looked at one area there, and I'm still not clear, but I think it says it's 1.3 under scope, that if you own more than 4 acres of land and you wanted to subdivide that into 5 lots or more, or non-residential, then you would be subject to this plan. Is that correct? Or what's in green that was on the website, is that what was changed from the original one that
Can I
I
answer the
received?
question? Yeah, the scope was revised based on feedback from you, Jim, as other people, because it apparently wasn't clear that it would, because people were saying, well, like you said, could I build a house on my 4 acres? Yes. So the scope was revised to be clearer that if you're developing, 5 lots or more over that time period, so that meets the state statute 236, because if you're gonna do 5 lots or more over a certain time period, you gotta do a subdivision plat. So if you're gonna develop that amount of
So if I were
property.
to put 1, 2, or 3 homes or 4, I'm okay, but if I wanted to go 5, I fall under the subdivision rule.
Right, the statute 236.
Subject to the costs that were identified in the plan, correct? All the costs that are incurred, the engineering,
Yeah, you'd have to present a draft,
the
a
3D,
draft site plan.
3D thing and that, okay.
Mhm.
So so everything in green is a change?
Pretty much, yeah, yeah.
Okay, that's my question.
Thank you, Jim. Scott Anchek?
You can move on.
Okay. Heidi Bartels? Is she here?
Yeah, she's
Heidi Bartels, resident, W13592, Highway 8, Warehouser. I would just recommend that before the board made a decision, that we could put this on the board's site and have the township residents all vote on it. You could do a QR code on there, it would be super simple, easy, and then everybody would have their own vote. I feel like that would be more than fair, seeing as how there's such a divide and a lot of different opinions. I can see that from everybody here. I think I should be able to do what with my own property that I wanna do it. Some people think that they don't like my red fence, well, get rid of the red fence. So, in my opinion, I feel like letting everybody have a say who lives here, who pays property taxes, is the best way to handle it.
Thank you, Heidi. Bruce Lorenzen?
All right, I'm Bruce Lorenzen. I'm a resident here for just about 5 years. I vote here. I've been a town board member in the town of Waterford, which is Racine County, a growing county, a place with several subdivisions going on, probably a pretty big town staff compared to this. Even in that township, I really like the idea of people who own the land to be able to follow the existing rules and to make a living from the land. I mean, during that time, there was a plan down there, but this was a place with 10 active subdivisions between Milwaukee and Chicago going on. Clearly needed a plan, site plans, stuff going on, big developers in there. I don't see that here. Knowing what that took in the town staff, it took a lot in the town staff. Now, we're not that size, but there's a lot of work described in there that someone's gonna have to do. I don't really relish the idea of 2 or 3 more people working and doing that kind of stuff. So, unless it's really needed because of development going on, when I look at the comprehensive plan, mostly, we have a lot more older people here from that data than most of the state of Wisconsin. You don't really show that there's gonna be a big increase here. It's one thing to be ready, but you're taking on what could be a ton of work, even for the first person to go through a big plan like that. And I in fact, obviously am not in favor of more regulations. If you own the land, follow the existing rules. The state has rules The county has rules. Why do we need another layer of rules for the majority of the people who own farmland here, want a farm, and you know they've owned the land for 100 years. They wanna make money. You know, you can't make money milking 40 cows. You might have to have 600 cows. You know, I've seen that happen. You have to be able to leave some room for people who keep it agricultural to actually make a living too. So it's, yeah, I guess that's what I want to say. Don't overregulate.
Thank you, Bruce. I believe it says, is it Larry Harris?
That's me.
Okay, Larry.
Larry Harris, I live here. I own wooded land and I own agricultural fields. In my future here, as I'm getting older, I am thinking of selling my home, downsizing, and also my son wants to build a different house. Well, we would want to build it on our agricultural land. So, and I'd say one of the fields is 25 acres. I'm not really happy to think that all of a sudden we want to save all our agricultural land and you stop me from building that on that land. And that's what I'm worried about. You know, that might not be this year, next year, but I don't think I want to ask permission from anybody on my land that I can put a house and maybe on the other end of that land, my son to build a house. So when people are gonna tell me what I can do with my land, I'm not really happy about that part. I'm not trying, you know, say everybody's gonna do something terrible. And if there's gonna be a big plan on some of that kind of stuff, yeah, but when this committee gets together, how do we know the next people down the line that's on the committee are gonna allow us to do that? You know, I wanna have a little say of what I'm gonna do with my property. So I'm kind of a little bit afraid on some of these things, like all of a sudden agriculture is agriculture only, no residency on it, or woods are strictly woods, and you know, somebody had a couple rows in there that were stopping them from farming it properly, making crops come around in a circle so they can plant and harvest, so they can't take out 2 acres of woods. See, I'm kind of worried about some of that kind of stuff.
Thank you, Larry. Lynn Wurzba?
Lynn Wurzba, N343 on Hutchinson Road South. When this plan the site plan was proposed, or it was come up with, it was, again, to complement the comprehensive plan. And they had to start somewhere. And we tried, the board and the plan tried to made multiple drafts and tried to get comments on it, asked for questions, tried to simplify it or do whatever. That wasn't an easy process. But nobody wants to prevent somebody from doing something with their land. But as Mr. Richter asked, if you have a dairy that comes in, nobody's saying that we don't want that, but if they don't have an environmental impact study saying if we do this, that we will take all the water from Amacoy Lake or drain our aquifer, or the manure, they don't have a plan to handle that manure and it just runs off. It's better to deal with that stuff before these things happen, that they have a plan and that they're following rules, than afterward. And that's all they're trying to do, is to come up with some guidelines that people have. There's a study to say, if you put this building in and then there's a huge parking lot, where is all that water gonna run to? Is it gonna flood our road? Is it gonna flood the neighbor's property? Those are the types of things that they are asking they be done. And any developer in this state who does any kind of development that doesn't have something like that, I would be very afraid of using them as a developer. Because you can't tell me that they don't go to other municipalities and they have those kinds of guidelines. There's even that in Rice Lake, there was a large, when Walmart came in, somebody underestimated the runoff from that parking lot and it flooded the farmer's field. Well, they had to fix that, but the farmer lost a little bit in the process. So it's things like that. They're trying to prevent these things. And this is something we need. We don't know what's coming in the future, and we have a bunch of elderly residents. We don't know who they're gonna sell to or what these people wanna do. So we're just trying to protect. Nobody's saying you can't do it, but you do need to try to look at what's going to happen in the future. And if anybody thinks that a developer is looking out for your personal best interests, you're mistaken. They're there to make money, not to look out for somebody who wants a development.
Thank you, Lynn. David Worspa?
Well, I didn't have anything prepared. I'm gonna try and address some questions that I've heard people make comments on. First, development costs. Let's take your solar field, 70-acre field. Does anyone know what that would cost to develop? Probably about $2 million per megawatt. So you're looking at a $20 million investment. I don't know about something smaller than that, but it's about $2 million per megawatt. So a 10 megawatt facility, 20 million bucks. All you gotta do is go out and, ask the question on Google or internet or whatever. You're looking at maybe 2 to 5% of that 20 million for a site plan. So, as Lynn mentioned, if somebody's gonna invest $20 million and they're not gonna have a plan as to where they're gonna put those solar panels, you're shaking your head, Brad.
You know why, go ahead.
No, I don't know why, because any developer is gonna have a plan as to how they're gonna develop that, and the neighbors around them have a right to know how that's gonna be developed, as if it's gonna cause stormwater issues, and we've had rain the last few weeks, so you know what that's gonna do. So, basically, the site plan ordinance gives the town people an opportunity to have a say in the quality of the development, okay? That's what, that was one thing I wanted to address. The gentleman back there about building a house on 25 acres, as Jim Zach pointed out in the earlier, the scope wasn't clear. The scope now is much clearer, and I can read that to you. The ordinance applies to lands in the town of Stubbs, county of Rusk, any new residential subdivision as defined by Wisconsin statute 236, which is 5 lots or more, or new non-residential development of 4 acres or more, shall obtain all necessary approvals before construction. Lands exempt from the ordinance are those within quarries, gravel pits, and the landfill. So that's just to address that. The other thing I would like to address is, there were questions circulating around the town that you won't be able to sell your land because of this ordinance. That's not true. It has nothing to do with the selling of your land. It was mentioned in a previous meeting that they're gonna be checking your 2x4s you're using. That's not true either. It doesn't have, that's for zoning, that's your building inspector. This relates to land use. Answered that. The 4-acre requirement for non-residential, that came up with 4 acres due to the fact that in the past, the town has had some issues with smaller parcels that the town had to acquire to clean up, okay? And those weren't commercial or industrial, they were residential properties. The other guide that was used
6 seconds, Dave.
Brad took about 4.5, so I'll take my 4.5.
I'll give him my 3.
The other thing is that the state of Wisconsin has a program called idle site redevelopment, and that has a 4-acre minimum. It used to be 5, but they lowered it to 4. And the reason is that there were a number of properties throughout the state, significant idle, abandoned, and blighted properties across the state which were less than 5 acres. A commercial and industrial development has more potential for things to go bad than probably a residential, so that's how the 4 acres was picked. So, I'll pass. I'm done for now.
Okay, thank you. Bob Lurkowski?
Oh, first of all, I'll introduce myself. My wife and I came up in 1978, get out of Chicago. When you get out of Chicago and you come up here, you kiss the ground, okay? And we have for the last 47 years. I'm an old Boy Scout. We believe on leaving our campsite better than the way we found it, okay? So, I have no children. We weren't blessed with children or grandchildren. The only skin in the game I have is to live long enough to enjoy Emacoy Lake where I live. I tried my best to preserve what is here all the time I've been here, okay? It's not for my family, it's for the people that are here. I am concerned if we turn this into a shit house. I wish I could look down or up for where if I'm gonna be and see a little boy come up to grandpa and say, what the hell were you thinking, grandpa? You let this beautiful township turn to crap, okay? That's my concern. It doesn't hurt, you know, I live in paradise where I'm at. I'm looking at the rest of this place. And if we can save it from getting screwed up, that's all this is about. This is an unpaid position. I went through absolute hell with the comp plan, and we're going through a lot of BS with this. I've never seen a meeting run like this. I've never seen anything quite like this in my life.
Amen.
Okay? So, and I'm probably done, even though I'm ahead of. If somebody else wants to talk, say
Pam?
something good about the town, that's all.
I don't have anything.
Okay. That concludes the meeting. We'll, what we'll do is we'll, table this a little bit and just ponder and think about it. There's a couple different options, you know, whether the three of us vote on it or whether the community votes on it, et cetera. So we'll discuss that and we'll be done, so.
I do have
The
a
end of the meeting.
question.
It's the end of the meeting.
My wife's name was on there and my name was on there and I didn't have the opportunity to speak.
Well, where's your name?
Look at the sheet, it's on there. You knew my name the other evening.
Yeah, your name's Orban, it's not on here.
May I approach you?
No, you may not.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
And the record show that he won't let me see the sheet of paper.
Well, here, I'll let you see the sheet of paper.
Well, you may approach me, I'm not afraid of you.
No, I'm not afraid. If you see the paper, then just tell me how to see the paper.
You know what? I signed the wrong paper then. Look, right there.
Well, I asked you if you wanted that.
I thought you were holding this paper, sir, and you're going to walk away from me in defiance.
No, I'm not walking away, I'm just sitting
It's,
down.
there was an error. And I may not speak.
Well, I will give you 3 minutes then.
Thank you.
Okay,
I appreciate it.
yep. Start.
The way that I'm gonna speak is simply by the only way that I know best to speak. So, whatever religion you are, it's immaterial to me, but would you please bow your heads? Father God, you have given us this particular state inside of this country. Bless this particular county with an area that, as I grew up, I had no idea that there was an area called the Blue Hills. And I believe you know our hearts and you know that each person sitting here can see the splendor, the creation that you so graciously poured out and given to each and every one of us as residents and then tourists and visitors and whatever that come through here, Lord. Father, only through your name, I am just a sinner that is so fallen short of your worthy and grace. So, first and foremost, I ask for forgiveness for being outspoken. And in your name, Lord, I just pray that this whole division of anger and hostility and whatever it is, Lord, only you know. I certainly don't. I didn't come here this afternoon to say who was doing what and whatever. But I can, you know my heart. You know the details and the facts as far as what's shown when we talk and when we act. And when we burst out that I'll find 2 more residents when the words uttered were, I don't care if something happens or not. So, Lord, give this township wisdom in each person's mind to examine the content of what individuals are saying on one side of their mouth and doing on the other side of their mouth, Lord. so that you would bring us back into harmony, that we don't want to tell anybody what
20
they
seconds.
can do with their land, but that we do wanna set up regulations as far, not regulations, but just standards so that we can protect each other in your beauty and your splendor. And Lord,
7
you know
seconds.
my heart, my 7 seconds are up. We ask it in Jesus' name, in your name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Orv. Who's, like I said before, we'll discuss this, the board will discuss this, we'll decide, you know, if we wanna take it to vote, or if we just vote on it, and, you know, we'll put a meeting notice out, and we'll do it.
There's no action items for tonight.
It's just a discussion. We're just here to listen to the public.
Great, so I thought we were done.
Yeah, we're done, we're done.
Oh,
Done.
okay. I thought you said we were done.
Nope, we're done.
What's that, Justin, you had something to say?
You just need a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Well, you don't need one. Yeah, you don't need one, we're done with the agenda. WTA said that once you're done with the agenda, you're done. There's nothing else to discuss. So you don't need a motion to adjourn. That's what they said. That's not it. Well, make a motion then.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I second.
All in favor?
Motion passed.
The land use permit process requires all of the costs